6'2" junior from Leopoldburg, Belgium. Number 4, Cohen.
What's up, people? I'm back again, and it's now time for me to do my next video on the 2022-23 University of Hawaii men's basketball season. And we're coming down to the end of the non-conference season, and so far, so far, UH has been playing extremely well, like they did against their last opponent, St. Francis, the Red Flash. It was a first-time opponent again. It was the first time they had gone up against this team. They're actually from the state of Pennsylvania. And how much did I know about this team? Not a lot. And how did that game turn out? That only left me saying 2 words. Holy shit. Yeah, seriously. Holy shit. And you're going to find out why. So, let's get started. Okay, now, St. Francis, a team that UH has not faced off against before, turned out to be another good test for them when conference play does come around. And it will come, as you can see here, on December 29th. And that's against UC Davis. And that's what I have said from the very beginning. That's when the real season begins. And how did UH do? As I said before, holy shit. That was a damn good game, let me tell you. Simply because UH won it going away thanks to a second half surge where they probably went 200 on the freeway and ended up running away from St. Francis 90-66. That's right. 90-66. And let me tell you, that first half, they kind of had some kinks to work out, but they certainly put it together, and they did not let St. Francis get away, which was an important thing for them to do after what happened against Texas A&M Commerce in that second half. They played really lackadaisical in that game, and as a result, Commerce pulled out to a 14-point lead, and UH almost pulled off the comeback if it wasn't for a stupid call from the refs, which negated a triple from Javon McClanahan. But we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you this right now. That game was all about 2 guys. One on St. Francis, one on UH. And for St. Francis, it was the Josh Cohen show, as he ended up with 40 points that night. And that's the most actually by an opponent in a few years, because former Fullerton player Kyle Allman Jr. actually hit 40 in 2018 in a game at the Stan Sheriff Center. And that is a game that UH actually fell to after they had led by a considerable margin, actually. But that night, Kyle Allman Jr. was banking triples like there was no tomorrow. But that St. Francis game, the guy who was really on the ball was Kamaka Hepa. Because he had 30 points that night. His previous career high at UH was 19, and he had 19 in the first half. So you factor all that in, and that was probably UH's best game I have ever seen since winning the North Shore Classic. Okay? And they went 2 out of 2 there. They actually had 3 games at the Cannon Activity Center in Laie. And one of them was not televised, and that was against Hawaii Pacific University. UH actually had their best shooting night because they only missed 7 shots in that first half. Tonight they did extremely well, and they did an outstanding job from the field. They had 14 field goals in the first half. They shot an even 50% at 14 of 28. There were also 5 of 9 from 3-point range. And like the Spectrum crew is saying, they took their time with their triples. As a result, they only missed 4 of them. And in the second half, UH did much better. They were 6 for 11 from 3-point range. And in terms of field goals, they were 20 for 35. So that was probably UH's best shooting night I've seen in the past several games, to say the least. In a game that saw 13 lead changes and 2 ties, that was definitely, it was an entertaining first half, though, that's for sure. But once UH got the lead towards the end of the first half, off a layup from Kamaka Hepa, they definitely poured on the steam and pulled away. But what really told the story were 2 areas: bench points and turnovers. In the first half, UH had 4 turnovers. In the second half, they had only 1. And they got damn close to pulling off another turnover-free second half like they did against UC Irvine last season when they came here. The second area that told the story, bench points. Because Hawaii had 30 bench points off the bench. Hawaii had 30 of them to St. Francis's 5. That's a big difference right there. Now, UH has pulled off a similar feat because in 2021, just towards the end, when it was their second last game of the home season against Long Beach State, UH did really well in terms of bench points because they romped Long Beach State in that department. Because at the end of that game, that first game, UH had 42 bench points to Long Beach State's 4. And if that's not domination, I don't know what is. This was domination for sure, let me tell you. And although Cohen was certainly unstoppable that night, he had 21 in the first half, 19 in the second half for a total of 40. Kamaka Hepa proved that he could run his pace.
Excuse me, guys. Can we go have a seat, please?
But here's the thing. What I would definitely, although Cohen won the points battle 40-30 over Kamaka Hepa, what really stood out at me was the fact that although Cohen was 16 for 23 in terms of field goal shooting, how many 3-pointers did he try? 0. And he didn't make a single triple. Kamaka Hepa, on the other hand, he made some triples. As a matter of fact, Hepa, he made a total of 5 of them. 5 of UH's 11 triples. The next closest, Justice Jackson, with only 2. And I got one of them right here. And Justice Jackson in 19 minutes had 10 points that night. And I thought he did really well, too. And he's certainly coming along well, and he's certainly proving that he will be a good heir apparent to the point guard position when Jovan McClanahan or Noel Coleman leave. because Justice has proven that he's a good point guard, and his ball control is starting to remind me a little bit of Drew Bucks. And obviously, Kamaka Hepa certainly played very well. As I said, he had 30 points, in 36 minutes. But what I didn't mention, he had a double-double that night. He had 30 points and 14 rebounds. The next closest was the guy who I thought provided another spark off the bench, Beon Riley. In 21 minutes, he put up 13 points and 9 rebounds, and he was a rebound shy of a double-double. And I have to say, Beon Riley really checked off a box that he didn't check off last season until the final couple of home games. He nailed a triple. And he was 4 of 4 at the free throw line. He took 1 triple in the game, and he made it. I believe that was in the first half. But Beon has also shown that he will be a good successor after Bernardo da Silva leaves. And speaking of da Silva, I was actually a little bit surprised that he did not score a point that night. And I could say that it was just not Bernardo's night, because he was having trouble defending Cohen. And give him credit, because Cohen was really the points generator that night. As I said, he ended up with 40. The next closest was Landon Moore, and he had only 8. So that's a big difference right there. Everybody else was 5 or less on St. Francis anyway. But what really told the story in the second half was the fact that once UH got the lead off that last second bucket in the first half from Hepa, they knew how to keep it. That's the thing. And of course, as I said, you're seeing a lot of my B-roll here. That's because I took it on my phone. All this was on my phone for sure. And I will say this, though. University of Hawaii is proving that they got what it takes to back up their second place prediction of conference play when it begins on December 29th. And I picked them for second place, but I thought they could win the Big West Conference, to be honest. And I thought third was the worst that they would do. So obviously, UH is proving that they're ready. And obviously, up next is the Diamond Head Classic. Now, first of all, before I get to the Diamond Head Classic, what grade would I give UH? Definitely an A+, because that second half really, really told the story. Even though Cohen had another great second half with 19, as I said, Kamaka Hepa proved that he could run his pace. And unlike Cohen, Hepa actually hit triple. Cohen didn't attempt a triple. That's the thing. And it proved to be a good... This was also another good test for the Bows when conference play does come around. Because the only game where I thought that they did not pass was Texas A&M Commerce. Because from my view, it looked like every 2 or 3 minutes, UH had to adjust to a different rhythm. That's what it looked like to me. But in that Commerce game. But back on St. Francis, let me sum this up. UH shot a lot more efficiently than they did in the 2 or 3 games that they lost. The 2 games that they lost. But UNLV was on the road, and they were undefeated, and that featured former Rainbow Warrior Justin Webster, who transferred to UNLV after the 21 season concluded. But obviously, UNLV, they're a good basketball team. We proved we got the pace. They were up by I think they were up by 14 or 15 or 16 up at one point. We chopped it all the way down to 7. Obviously, it wasn't enough to get within their position, to get within striking distance of them. But still, UH proved that they got a lot of momentum from that UNLV game. And that Yale game certainly helped out too. Because the games that they lost, yeah, those helped them. The Yale game and the Texas A&M Commerce game, I really think they should have won. But then again, those two games, what do those two games have in common? Crappy shooting. Tonight, or excuse me, that night on December 11th was not crappy shooting that night by any means. So I was very, very pleased with them. And now we're going up into crunch time with the Diamond Head Classic. Now, I will say that at this point, UH was 4-3 just before the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. And unfortunately, UH played only 2 games in the Diamond Head Classic and had to withdraw from their Christmas Day game against Northern Iowa because of COVID-19 concerns. And unfortunately, that meant I was off for Christmas anyway. And what even hurt worst was the fact that UH ended the Diamond Head Classic winless for the first time ever in the tenure of the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic. We took on Vanderbilt last year, but it was a battle. We were definitely shorthanded. And then we took on South Florida in the second game, and they were not really a good shooting team, and yet UH ended up losing by 7 points, I think. Yes, yeah, I think it was 7. But I have the score down here anyway. So, what's going to happen this year? I don't know. What I do know is that their next opponent is Pepperdine. And obviously, the Diamond Head Classic does bring in some very good teams that are certainly no slouches by any means. And UH will definitely have to bring their A game. Do I think they can win it overall? I'd like to say they will, but they're going to have to play out of their minds to go up against teams like Pepperdine and Northern Iowa or SMU or Utah State. Those are going to be some battles, let me tell you. Because the one thing that we've yet to do in the Diamond Head Classic is win it overall. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought we were going to win the thing overall when Roderick Bobbitt was here in 2016. And even that didn't work. Or 2015, I should say. But anyway, next up is Pepperdine. Do I think we'll win that one? Nah, I don't know. I want to say yes, but I'm not going to offer a prediction this time, but I'm just going to say that I like to say we will. But keep pace with them would be a win in itself. Because UH has proven that they got the pace with the perennial frontrunners of the Big West, like Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, and Long Beach State. So we'll find out what happens. Will I do a video on the Diamond Head Classic? Sure, I will. But we'll see what happens. And obviously, let's hope that we'll get every single game in the Diamond Head Classic off and running. Because last year, UH was one of several teams in the Diamond Head Classic that had to cancel their games due to COVID-19 concerns. As a matter of fact, last year, the championship game, which was supposed to be a great one between, I think it was Stanford and another team. I can't remember which one, but I can't remember which one. Anyway, I really thought that that championship game that everybody was looking forward to was canceled due to COVID. And obviously that was a big problem too. And that's why I feel that because we were not able to play every single game in the Diamond Head Classic, that I believe that those games in the Diamond Head Classic from 2021 should be considered null and void. And of course, with the COVID-19 concerns, that led to that was the Northern Iowa game on Christmas Day was the start of a 4-game cancellation from the University of Hawaii because of COVID concerns. And also, UC Riverside had COVID problems of their own. And that game for New Year's Eve on 2020 in 2022 wound up canceled. So we had COVID concerns. Riverside had COVID concerns, and they had to cancel that game. Let's just hope this year we won't have any COVID pauses or anything. But in contrast, that COVID pause certainly helped them because UH started out winning 7 in a row, 6 in conference because UC San Diego didn't count because they're still transitioning to D1 before we ended up losing to UC Riverside. And now, unfortunately, UH can add themselves to that ship of having win streaks and have it be ruined by Riverside. And we're not the only one, like I said, because Long Beach State has been there, UC Irvine's been there, UC Riverside, or excuse me, UC Santa Barbara has, and Cal State Fullerton has as well. And now we can add it, and now we can add us to the list. So obviously the Diamond Head Classic will be next, as I said. I'm not going to give a prediction this time, but I like to believe that we can take Pepperdine. I think we can keep pace with them. But I will give a prediction for the first game against UC Davis at home for conference play. I think we will win that one because we have some things to prove against them. And we've only lost to them twice in the past 3 seasons. And but obviously UC Davis, they got some good players in Ezra Mannion and Elijah Pepper and Christian Anigwe. I'm not sure if they'll be there next season or this season, but we'll have to see what happens. I don't really know their collegiate standings or where their collegiate years are anyway. So obviously I'm going to have to hope for the best and hope that we can take Pepperdine anyway in the Diamond Head Classic, which will be on December 22nd, 23rd, and 25th. And you're seeing your opponents right here. So obviously we'll find out. So obviously, well, actually what you're seeing is Pepperdine really, because we don't know what's going to happen. And will I do a video on that? Yes. Will I do the same thing I did with the Outrigger Rainbow Classic? Yes. I will put them all into one video, all 3 games into a single video, because that'll give me more time to kind of sort my thoughts and kind of brainstorm what I'm going to say. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'm going to show you some more of my B-roll here.
6'6" senior from Apula, Oahu, Hawaii. Number 32, Kamaka Hepa. And for the 6'9" junior from Rio Sasha, Brazil, number 5, Bernardo da Silva.
And we'll see you guys next time. And once again, I will show some more of my B-roll here and now. Then and now, I should say. And go Bows. Hope you can take Pepperdine on the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic for 2022. So for now, well, I'm Apono, everyone.